Okay, so we use Comandante Grinder every single day. This is the one I use at home, and this is the one we use in our office for the last few months before we get two wooden models, which is this one and this one. Honestly, it's so convenient that when we moved to this new office, we left our Malkenik EK43 electric grinder in the cabinet, mostly unused. Comandante Grinder is the most used piece of equipment we have in the office. We know well the team behind it, visited the factory, many of our friends are field testers of these grinders, so we decided to pack all this knowledge into one video that should answer most, if not all, the questions you have. Short disclaimer, Comandante is a long-term partner of European Coffee Trip, so don't expect unbiased review or comparison. This video is actually not a review at all. We rather want to share insight from the history of the brand, showcase different models, and share practical tips for maintenance and accessories. The very last thing before we jump into this video, we have two surprises for you. Number one, our new colleague Lukasz, who is a Comandante power user and field expert who serviced many grinders over the years, will join me to share the best maintenance and troubleshooting tips. Number two, if you pay attention to what we say in the video, at the end you might get a chance to win one grinder. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room first. Comandante Grinder is quite pricey. It was even more true back in 2016 or 17 when the MK3 launched globally. At the time, it basically created a new category of premium hand grinders with prices over 200 euros. Popular hand grinders from Hario or Porlex cost around 50 euros or less. It was a huge mental gap for many. I have to admit, I also thought Comandante is too expensive. What made me change my mind was meeting the founder Bernd Braun and having a chance to see and use the grinder. Bernd told us he wanted to create a travel hand grinder with a performance comparable to high-quality shop grinder. He approached several manufacturers with this idea, but nobody believed there is a market for this product of that price, which is quite funny in retrospect. So Bernd decided to start building himself. Visiting the factory and seeing the process firsthand was the last step of the mental shift for me. We were lucky to receive the first grinder as a gift, but since then we bought and gifted many to family, friends, but also to our team. A lot of people in specialty coffee embrace these grinders as an industry quality standard. But the ultimate proof for me is to see high-level baristas competing at the Brewers Cup Championship, picking Comandante to grind their ever-winning coffees to win the championships. Let's look at some grinder now. The full name of this one is Comandante C40 MK4 Nitroblade Liquid Amber. Let's break down what these terms mean and what you should know about them. MK4 stands for Mark IV or Series 4, which is the last one released in 2021, with MK1 being the first series ever produced back in 2013. It came with an early version of the burst set. You'll probably be surprised that it actually came in two sizes, C40 and C20, where C40 stands for a version that can hold and grind up to 40 grams of beans at a time. More improvements later, the most popular series of Comandante was born in 2016. The iconic MK3 was fully manufactured within Comandante facility in Unterhaching, close to Munich in Germany. An important shift from MK3 to MK4 happened in summer 2021, and these are the most important improvements. There are new optimized internals with different materials and different bean inlet that eliminates the issue of beans getting stuck on top of the grinder. There is new, basically unbreakable polymer glass jar that also helps to collect and separate the fines and coffee paper. And then grinders are lower weight and with increased durability. The good thing is that they maintain 100% backward compatibility with all accessories and also familiar user experience. The key thing that both MK3 and MK4 have in common is that they share the same state-of-art Nitroblade burst set. Unlike many other grinder manufacturers, Comandante designed and engineered their own burst set using custom steel. Nitroblade is a cut out of the solid block of high-alloy, high-nitrogen stainless steel, perfected within the Comandante lab. Unlike typical burst sets, Nitroblade avoids oxidation of beans and reaction with the beans during the grinding, therefore preserving the complex taste of your coffee. The team is so confident about the burst set that they offer a lifetime warranty for it. As you can see on the table, there are many versions of the grinder. Nowadays, there are two types of finishes available. There are the iconic wooden finish that currently come in chocolate fine line, American cherry, liquid amber, and Virginia walnut, and robust powder coated in black color and Alpine Lagoon. Both types offer the same performance, yet they can help you to express yourself. The team never stops to perfect the C40, and as you have probably seen on the social media, a new exciting Trailmaster grinder is coming. The key to understanding how the grinder works and how to use its full potential is being able to properly adjust the grind size. In order to do that, you need to be able to identify the so-called first click. To do that, on an empty grinder, try to close the dial at the bottom to the moment that the handle gets locked. When the handle is locked and not moving, it's in zero position. The first adjustment counterclockwise, when the handle gets freely released, will be the first click. On properly maintained C40s, the first click should be universal between the grinders, so users can share their brewing recipes and use the same grind size. Once you identify your first click, you can adjust for Turkish coffee, which is 3 to 9 clicks, espresso, which is usually between 7 to 13 clicks, or filter coffee options between 18 to 30 and further. For every brewing method, you can find the proper amount of clicks that will give you the consistent results in your brews. It's also super easy to change the grind size while switching brewing methods or after you clean your grinder. Okay, let's brew one filter coffee now, and then Lukasz will share useful tips on how to keep the grinder in a good shape and how to fix some of the problems you might encounter.
Comandante doesn't need elaborate maintenance. However, like with every coffee tool, cleaning is an important and essential part. Not only to keep the grinder aesthetic and visually pleasing, but also for some practical reasons. With a regularly cleaned grinder, you will probably not need to ever exchange any internal parts, easily set the grind size, and always have a nice, fresh brews without the residue of previous coffee. We do recommend for heavy users to clean the grinder at least once per week, and for casual weekend users at least once per month. But if you switch frequently from espresso to filter roasts, it's recommended generally to clean it a bit more often. Now I will take you through the procedure of disassembling and assembling of the grinder for cleaning. And for that we recommend keeping some small container or a bowl or a plate for all the small parts so they don't run away from your table while cleaning. Firstly, unscrew the jar and counterclockwise open the bottom burr. Bear in mind that inside you should find a spring and a washer disc. Take them all out and set them aside. Now it's turn to take out the axle. It's easier to take it out while having the handle still on. In a new or regularly cleaned grinder, the axle should smoothly pop out. Once you take it out, remember that there is another identical washer disc on the top. Remove it as well. In daily cleaning, there is no need to take out the ball bearings, but if they pop out naturally, you can also clean them and set them back in place. Remember to never unscrew the bottom screws of the Comandante. They are an integral part of the inner structure of the shaft and are not meant to be ever removed. Once you'd unscrew them, they would not be easy to place back, and the shaft could potentially lose integrity. It could potentially violate the warranty of your grinder. To clean inside of the grinder, it's best to use a simple clean brush. Small bottle brushes, Comandante brushes, or even a simple toothbrush is good for the task. It's best to start with the inside. Always try to keep it vertical and not upside down, since you don't want any coffee dust to get inside of the axle shaft. Just make sure that no hair from the brush stays inside of the grinder. Some people like to vacuum the inside or use compressed air for cleaning, but I'm personally not a fan. I think it's a bit too much hassle and you can easily lose track of the small parts. Next, gently clean the bottom burr. Bear in mind that it's very sharp and you should firmly place it between your two fingers to avoid any cuts. Next, clean the spring, the washers, and the grind dial. Coffee dust and oil loves to get attached to these. When all elements are clean, start assembling of the grinder. First, the top washer with the inner smaller ring facing down. Then insert the axle. Invert the grinder and pop in the second washer, also with the inner ring facing inside the grinder. Now it's time to attach the handle, since it will help you with the next step. Pop the spring into the burr and gently place it on the axle. Grab the grind dial and start screwing it in to secure the bottom burr. At this point, I like to close the grinder by finding the first and zero click to be sure that the grinder works fine and smooth after the assembly. At the end, just screw in the jar, and bam! Your Comandante is like new. Over the last few years, I had the chance to service dozens of grinders in our service point in Warsaw. And now I'd like to present you 4 still very rare but most common issues that you might have with your Comandante grinder. If while cleaning it's impossible to remove the axle, it's a sign that you neglected cleaning for quite a while and coffee dust collected inside of the shaft. Usually, we don't recommend forcing it out since it might damage the elements inside. And if you don't have spare ones laying around, it could make your grinder basically unusable. If you notice that the axle doesn't want to go out easily, you can continue using the grinder for a while, but it would be best to contact a service point or a distributor to have the axle and the ball bearings inside exchanged. If the knob starts squeaking, a quick fix could be to add a tiny drop of mineral oil or beeswax on top of the handle and just pop it back in. It can literally save the issue in seconds. If you happen to break the plastic lid on the handle, that is objectively the most fragile part of the grinder, then you can easily exchange it via service and distribution point, in most cases without even a charge. Comandante posted a very nice short video of how you can actually exchange it yourself. And now quite a funny one. If you screw the jar too tight or under the wrong angle and you cannot unscrew it, a quick fix would be to actually put the grinder for a few minutes in a freezer. Then the jar can be easily removed. So now you know how to keep your grinder in pristine condition. And if you are still craving some practical tips on how to grind, here you are. Number 1. Always grind with the Comandante in a straight vertical position for optimal performance. In this position, the beans will naturally fall between the burrs and you will avoid them getting stuck between the elements of the grinder. Number 2. Don't grind too fast, because it will actually not perform better and you will neither be efficient or have good particle distribution. Since if you grind too fast, the beans will pop and actually not get grinded faster. Also, in some extreme cases, they will get heated up and start extraction of the coffee. Number 3. Utilize the static properties of the polymer jars to get rid of the fines and the coffee paper. Once you grind into such a jar, don't tap on the counter at the end, but gently remove the jar and check how much fines and coffee paper got collected on the bottom burr. You can easily discard them to have a cleaner and more consistent brew. Number 4. If you have a metal version of the grinder and you sometimes lack a grip while grinding, you can pop the included Comandante bracelet on your shaft and be able to easily grip the grinder better. It can also help you protect the grinder while accidentally dropping it on the floor. Number 5. For extra grip on the wooden versions, use the official beeswax or some other natural beeswax to polish the wooden parts of the grinder. Not only it will help you protect the wood, but make it age gracefully and also add extra grip while grinding.
Now that we share many maintenance and grinding tips, we want to give you an overview of the all official Comandante accessories we gathered over the years. So let's take a look. So let's start with the red clicks. It's a special red placement axle that helps you to double the amount of grind setting and fine-tune your recipes. Especially handy if you use your grinder for espresso. Big Joe, a bigger, easier to grab knob, is a game changer if you grind bigger volumes of coffee or you have to make a few brews in a row. Your hands will thank you. Then the black crank, a longer crank that makes grinding faster, and it also has an aesthetic value, especially if it's paired with the power-coated black finish grinder. Polymer jars in various colors help you to change the appearance of your grinder, store the beans, and are literally almost unbreakable. Then brushes. Comandante offers a wide range of brushes to clean your grinder or coffee counter, and maybe even to tame your beard or mustache. Woolen sleeves that help you to take care of your favorite grinder on trips and adventures. No more excuses that you can grind freshly even in the most remote places. And if you want to go even further, so there's a travel bag that's the ultimate way to travel with style. It's not only very handy, but also, as everything Comandante, is made with premium materials like Italian leather. You can easily fit the grinder with 2 extra jars or a small bag of coffee. So these are only a few official accessories, but there are countless third-party ones made out of the love and popularity of the brand. For example, knobs from recycled skateboards, custom 3D printed lids, funky covers, or even motorized adapters for automatic grinding. The hype is real, and new aftermarket products are appearing every few weeks. Okay, now that you know all we wanted to share, let us know if you have any more questions and we'll do our best to answer them in the comments. Also, we really recommend you to watch our Comandante factory tour video, which is packed with many more insights from the production. And now, as we promised, it's a giveaway time. To enter the raffle to get a chance to win one of these 2 grinders, leave us a comment on what version you like better, Virginia Walnut or Liquid Amber. And even more important, fill out the form below where you find more questions and tasks. We were really excited to share it all with you. Thanks for watching and see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.